Hey up YouTubers, how are we? Welcome back to the channel. Simon B here again. Many thanks for joining us again. Here we are, part 3, 350 LC, back on the road. We've rebuilt the calipers, rebuilt the master cylinder. Now we're going to bleed the brakes, make sure everything's okay. So if you fancy a bit of that, stick around, stay tuned. So I've cheated a little bit. Calipers are already on. We've got new copper washers each side of the banjo bolt, which came with a kit. Caliper bolts are in and tightened up. Couldn't find a torque measurement for them, so if anybody has got a torque measurement for them, please comment down below. Copper washers can be reused quite a few times. All you need to do is anneal it. All you need is a gas bottle and a bit of water. Heat it up cherry red, quench it straight into it, and it'll anneal it, which will make it go softer, which will allow you to clamp it back into something like this. So you don't have to buy copper washers every time. Some people will say, well, yes you do, but you don't really. So that was the inside. This is the off side. Same again, put new copper washers in, bolts are in. Anybody who's got torque measurement, please down below. I was going to put braided hose in, but I want to keep it looking original, so it's got the old rubbers in. People say they're not very good, but then again I won't be racing this, so I won't be doing a great lot with it. Master cylinder is back on the bike. You know, we had the trouble with the light switch. Apparently this light switch, you can actually buy a new one, so I'm going to order one of them. So what we did was we didn't really have to do it, but we did. So once again, 2 copper washers in. They're old ones are annealed and renewed. So let's get down to bleeding these brakes. So what's the best and easiest way of bleeding brakes? I don't think there is one really. To bleed these brakes, I'm going to use a combination of 2 things. There's various different ways of bleeding your brakes on a motorcycle, in your car, your van, anything really. So because this system was completely empty, the first thing I'm going to use is a vacuum gun. You can buy these off eBay, Amazon, anywhere. You can buy them Nippy Normans, you can buy them all over the place. You can buy expensive ones, you can buy cheap ones. I think even Snap-on make one, so you could pay quite a considerable amount. So all it does is suck. So it causes a vacuum. So because the reservoir is empty, the whole lines are empty, the calipers are empty, we need to get plenty of fluid through and out of the bleed nipples. Some people would say, well, you should go upwards and blow the air out. Well, you can do that, that's no problem. But to do something like that, you'd need to force it through with some sort of a large syringe like that. One thing I've never tried, so I think it will work, but never tried it. Whatever you've used before, you know it works, well, that's what you use. So what we're going to do with this is fill the reservoir full of fluid. We're going to open the bleed nipple on one of the calipers, and we're going to draw all the fluid out through the pipes, through the small T-piece manifold, what you want to call it, which separates one hose into 2, because you've got 2 calipers on here. And we're going to put air, we're going to put fluid all the way through from the master cylinder all the way to the calipers. That's the first thing we're going to do. So all we're using is .4 brake and clutch fluid. .4, it's approved with all the rubbers that's being used on the bike. If it says .4, use .4. If it says .5, use .5. If it says .4, don't use .5. On the master cylinder top it says use .3. .3 is not used anymore. .4 is the replacement for it. But don't get confused with .4 and .5, they're not compatible. Brake fluid will remove paint, so be careful with it. Make sure you have a rag whenever you're using it. buy it in small quantities, because once you've opened it, you need to use it within a couple of weeks. If you don't use it within a week, you need to throw it away. All it's going to do is it's hypo, basically attracts water. So all it's going to do is suck water in it, and it's going to ruin it. So once you've opened it, use as much as you can out of it within 2 weeks. It's something around about 2 weeks. First, we're using brake fluid. Make sure everything's protected in case you spill anything. You don't want paint to start flaking off just because you spilt a bit of fluid. So top the reservoir up. All we're going to do now is use our vacuum pump and suck all the fluid through and out of the calipers. So what we do, we get our 8mm spanner on the bleed nipple. If you just crack it off so it's not tight, you can actually don't need to use a spanner. So if you put the tube onto it, you can see the bleed nipple will now spin. So create a vacuum and then just crack it open. Create a vacuum, crack it open. And create a vacuum and continue to let it open. And you can hear the air being sucked. And you can see, hopefully, at the bottom of the container, the fluid that's being sucked out the master cylinder, down the hose into the caliper. So just before I'm going to take that off, I'm just going to nip that up slightly, not very tight. I'm going to create a vacuum because I don't want to spill any, and take it off. So as you can see there in the fluid catcher is fluid that we've now vacuumed down through the brake hose and out through the caliper. Simple as that. So now we've got a caliper full of fluid, we've got a hose full of fluid, and the master cylinder is still full of fluid. So now we're going to use a different technique. Now I've used a vacuum to pull all the fluid out of the master cylinder into both. Everything now full of fluid. You may still have some air in it, but we'll get rid of that in a minute. What we're going to do, we're going to pump the lever until we feel force. What that's going to do, it's going to pump the fluid into the caliper, to push the pistons out, which in turn push the pads against the disc. Once that is done, there still may be some air in the system. So because we're full of fluid, we may have a couple of air bubbles in. This doesn't seem as though it has now, after all the vacuuming that we've done, and we've pumped everything through and we've engaged the pads to the disc. But if you still feel that you do, what you need to do, which is the second stage of the process of bleeding brakes, get your 8mm spanner and a rag. What you need to do is to protect your caliper around your bleed nipple, because what you're going to do here now, you're not transferring loads and loads of fluid. So all we're going to do, we're going to protect the caliper with a rag, we're going to pump the lever, and then we're going to hold it in, and all we're going to do is just crack that nut, and all it's going to do is go up and squirt a tiny little bit of fluid out. So that's all you need to do. If you think that you've still got air in it, press the lever 2 or 3 times, hold it in, bend down, crack it open, psst, and that's all it does. Do that with both sides 2 or 3 times, come back and see if you've got a firm lever. If you've got a firm lever, you don't need to do any more. So now we're in the stage of ready to button this back up. So all we need to do now is the rubber seal. When we rebuilt the caliper, we'd already checked it, there's no holes in it. Because there's no holes in it, there's no point in using it. What we need to do is get this sealed up Make sure you filled up your master cylinder to the level it's supposed to be. What you need is as least amount of air in there as possible, because air has water in it, air has oxygen in it, and it doesn't like the fluid. Make sure there's no fluid leaking out. Screws go back on. There will be a torque setting for this, don't horse it up. So switch has been ordered, so we'll get that changed. Apparently it just unclips and pulls out, so we'll get that sorted. There you go, boys and girls, dead easy, isn't it? Master cylinder, calipers rebuilt, put back on the bike, rebled, everything's great. Dead easy, simple tools, it's all you need. You don't need a mass of tools to do stuff like this at home. Doesn't matter if it's your classic motorbike, your new motorbike, child's bike, car, Land Rover, van, anything. All the same. If you get into trouble, all you've got to do is ask. Or one of the other things you could do, you get yourself a Haynes manual. There's stuff like this available online. You can download stuff and it tells you how to do stuff. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the run up to this. If you thought the video was okay, please give it a big thumbs up. Any comments, anything you'd like to say, please comment down below. Next stop, like I said, MOT. Don't forget to like, tag, share and follow. Tell all your friends. We're not yet 1,000 subscribers, nearly. This time last year we were 101, so we're 855 I think at the moment. What we could do is just get a few more. That'd be awesome. Don't forget, be safe, ride safe, keep safe, don't get COVID, and as they say, we'll see you soon.